Slit. Ooh, 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 ooh. Get it, get it, get it, get it. Light it, light it, light it, light it. Ooh, ooh. Go, 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 go. Shake the ass, shake the ass, shake the ass, shake the ass. It's episode 10. Hey, episode 10. All right. Woo.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back. It's season or whatever. Episode 10. It's the last one. We finally made it.
10. That's Fubs. 10. I'm like, how far can you spread your fingers? Aliens. I'm like, okay, who's got a bigger hand?
Surprisingly, yours are bigger than...
I have very long
It's
fingers.
called big dick energy.
Welcome to my podcast. All right.
Scorpio placements.
Episode 10. Welcome. We're so happy you're back. I hope you've been blessed since you heard us last and continue to feel blessed because that's all this is, baby, a blessing. And I'm so excited because I feel like it leads perfectly into... Victoria got this download, and you got to share a little bit. Was it just the title that came to you, or was it such a beautiful title?
Well, and also the topic is something that's just been like so pounding my consciousness with like, you have to be talking about this right now.
Yeah, it just sparked so much in me.
Yeah, good.
So I'm very excited. I'm
amazing.
Like, nice long page of notes here. I'm ready to go. But, as always, got to check your frequency to make sure it's right. How's your frequency today?
As a left-handed person, the fact that we use the word right for so many things, like left is obviously not a good solution either, but like, it just is. I am just amming over here.
Yes. The ams are amming.
I am feeling such a surge of consciousness running through me. It's actually quite uncomfortable, and we haven't channeled together in some time, and so I'm about to start my cycle, so I'm really feeling all the feels in great molecular detail. But I really do feel like this is how I can be of service to the world right now and to share the information that comes through. So take it or leave it. And I
suggest you take it.
But do with it as you see fit. Free will. How are you? Give me a freak check.
I am feeling kind of similar. I was a little nervous about this episode because I feel, and I'm going to get more into this as we talk about the topic, that my connection has changed.
Yeah.
And I haven't been like sitting in practice the way that I used to. So it feels like I haven't channeled in this way in a while. And I'm like, how is this going to work? So I'm very excited because I'm like, what is this new channel that I've opened?
Yeah.
Or is that channel that I opened used for something else? And I'm just going to tune back into the channel we typically channel. You know what I mean? So I'm just interested and excited, a little nervous, you know, all the feels that make your nervous system do the exact same thing, even though the story we tell us is quite opposite, which is funny since the topic is polarity.
Actually, I wasn't fully prepared for this because I wanted to write this down and it's on my phone. So BRB, bear with me.
We love the note taking.
So if you were to just Google the word polarity, the first thing that comes up is chemical polarity. And it shows this diagram of H2O and oxygen being in the center and then hydrogen being on either side. And to me, this kind of represents, you know, the oxygen is kind of the central core of your being if we're looking at like comparing it to you and your existence as a human. And then hydrogen on either side being the spectrum of what you can experience, the duality of whatever emotion it is. And having it be expressed in a way that you can embody both. Because what I've witnessed is that it's very difficult for people to know that they can experience pain and pleasure at the same time. I mean, we're not talking kinky stuff here. We're talking like life.
I mean, that also, yes.
Life's been pretty kinky. I'd call it crunchy more than anything, which is probably why I'm so addicted to chips right now. But
Crunchy instead of kinky. Okay.
I know. I'm like, if we're gonna get kinky, let's take it to my true love, which is food. But
same.
I've really been experiencing such extremes of either end, right? And polarity is really looking at how you harness in your energy to opposing feeling, sensations, experiences. And I very much am feeling so much grief, but so much hope and trust. And I get to lean into either one at any given moment. And it's just so important to remember that you have a choice in which one you get to experience, even if it feels like one is screaming at you so much louder than the other. Know that on the other side of what you're experiencing, you can go there at any point.
Yes.
You are this H2O molecule, right, of duality, polarity. So go there.
I love that. And I love the H2O like visual there. When you brought up polarity and specifically the title that you gave, which I'm pretty sure is going to be the title that we use. Let's see where we go with this. But what you gave us was polarity, expanding capacity to hold light.
Yes.
And I felt like that was so beautiful because the first thing that came to mind was the yin and yang and how neither are expected to diminish. What makes the polarity so strong is the unification of the two.
Yeah.
And I think given this world of polarity, and we've talked about how the goal is unification, it's not unification to become one, right? If we think of, God, I've used way too many television shows and movies as examples, and I don't know if you'll know this reference, but back in the good old day, watching Fairly Odd Parents, there was an episode where they made everyone exactly the same and they were all gray blobs and they were boring, right? I'm not talking unification where we're all the same, have the same thoughts, have the same feelings, want the same goals, because that's not what life is about. We're supposed to be experiencing and learning from one another and like seeing things from different perspectives. But the unification of holding both the shadow and the light. And I've said it before, the more darkness there is, the more opportunity for light. We need bright light to make that contrast of those shadows. So this polarity is not about not holding both, right? Unifying it in the sense of, oh, I don't want to feel pain and pleasure. I want to pick one and stick with it, right? Or I want to find something in the middle. It's no, you have to learn how to hold both and find the opposite within it, if that makes sense. Like thinking of the yin yang symbol, you have the black and the white, and they're unified as one symbol, neither of them being diminished. They are both properly equal. But then within the white side, there's a black dot. And within the black side, there's a white dot. And the concept behind that symbolism is that there is light in darkness and there is darkness in the light. So if you're thinking of pain and pleasure and being able to hold those, or grief and hope, how is there hope within the grief? And how is there grief within the hope? And knowing that both are important, and when we can find that little piece of the opposite within itself, that becomes the unification. And that allows us the capacity to hold more light because we're accepting and welcoming the shadow or the darkness.
Okay, just hearing that like really eased my nervous system. And you know what else came through as I was listening to you? Unification in action is integration.
Ooh, wait, say that again.
Unification in action is integration.
Yes.
You must integrate in order to experience the unification.
Yes, 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 yes. I love that.
You know, I always want to go real deep, real fast. So I'm like,
for
maybe, no, do I want?
Yeah. If that's what you're being called to do, girl, that's what we're channeling is. Bringing it in.
I know we don't like to use this word on our podcast. Are we past the 5, 6, 7 mark?
We are.
Looking strictly at feminine and masculine energies, and if we're, then getting a little bit more detailed into what we're using as an example is, a hetero relationship, man and woman. It is demonic for a man to take a woman out of her intuition by gaslighting her and making her second guess what she is feeling and experiencing. And if you are a man who is telling a woman that she needs to be feeling another way other than she is, and you're not honoring her emotions, you are not able to receive her full gifts. You are child's play in the terms of consciousness. And you need to sit your ass down and really look yourself in the mirror and say, how am I being of service to this world? How am I honoring the feminine? A lot of this is stemming from the witness of objectification, especially of women. And as I'm getting older, I'm not being objectified in the same way. And I think it's because I'm deepening my self-worth. I really respect myself. I respect my body in a way that it's not catering to the male gaze, right? Like I'm not trying to get anyone's attention. If anything, I play more with like being invisible.
Even though right now you're getting everyone's attention, girl, you look gorgeous, but I'm sorry, continue.
Thank you. You are only permitted to objectify others if you have done the work on yourself, felt all the feels, faced your shadows, developed self-love like no other. Because at this point, it's no longer objectification and instead worship. And I think worship is the deepest form of reverence we can show another person, especially someone we love. And this constant need to validate and to seek things outside of ourselves is such poison in the dating world today. And a lot of it is, focused on like, what can you do for me? Like, what are you going to bring to my life? And I do not see any divine union partnerships that operate from that level of consciousness. So I just want to make a very clear note here that if you are seeking relationship or if you're entering into relationship and there is that type of dynamic playing out, you're probably about to experience a lesson and it's karmic and beautiful and serves a great lesson in your life. But
yeah. Well, two things came up for me while you were sharing. What were those two things is another question. Shit.
we forgot how
Channeling can get very challenging. Hold on. It's right here. Oh. Okay, one of the things that came up to me that is now back to my brain is the concept of worship. That is, so I love the concept of objectification turning into worship.
Yes.
But I offer you this, that everything, and you can agree or disagree to this, but everything that you put extended attention into is worship. So what are you worshiping? Right? We talk about what are you giving your attention to, but if you change the word to worship, it feels just as powerful as it actually is energetically. So are you worshiping just the physical form in a way that's demeaning? right? That objectification.
Yeah.
Are you worshiping the physical form in a way that's bringing light and beauty, right? My God, I love how strong and powerful you are and the presence you bring here, right? Or I love your outfit and like giving that gratitude and that I love the way you express yourself. Like, how are you worshiping? And this came to me recently too, because I watched someone have a talk about how anxiety is just worshiping the problem, right? So how can you honor polarity? By worshiping both sides equally with acceptance.
I love the word worship because it's such, it's charged with responsibility.
Yes.
It's charged with awareness of your energy. And we are so responsible for the energy we're putting out into the world and what we're consuming in. And I love, and I totally agree.
Yeah. So, like, what do you want to worship in life? What feels so important to you that you want to worship? And the other thing that came to mind is, wow, my throat is like crazy right now. Talk about we haven't channeled in a while. When you were talking about in a heterosexual relationship, males gaslighting and not letting you be in your feelings, right? Coming to that same concept, but for any gender, like we said previous, just holding that masculine energy and holding that feminine energy, the unification of that, right? This is a perfect example of unifying without diminishing the opposite or opposing side, right? When we're talking about polarity or finding balance, you can't balance without two opposing things, right? Like even if you're balancing like a basketball on your finger, there's gravity versus force, right? There's always two opposing that you're trying to find the center balance of. So we need both in order to find balance. If I'm only focused on one, there is no balance there. So when it comes to holding the masculine and the feminine, it's respecting that the masculine energy creates a container. And that can look like in the body of a female, that can look like in whatever. That needs to be respected, right? We need to respect that of the divine masculine to create the structure, to organize and do what it needs to hold that in order for the balance of the feminine to run free in her intuition, into her emotion, into creativity within the safe space. That is a perfect example of how polarity unifies without mending into each other. It's not saying that one person, now, yes, we hold both energies and we are capable of creating container and living in intuition within that. But in partnership, there's going to be someone who holds more of that energy that creates the container and someone who melts within the container. And both are respected and held in opposite regards, but unified in one, that piece of creating a safe space for intuition to flow. And you couldn't have one without the other. Whether that's happening all internally to yourself or not, you need the safe container for intuition to flow. And it's similarly with Victoria and I channeling right now. We need to create a safe container in our own body, tend to our own body, create a safe container in the space that we're holding physically, in the space that we hold for one another in order for things to channel. And finding that balance, it's ringing so hard. And I know I'm repeating myself, but it's just ringing so hard that polarity's goal is to unify within acceptance. So we are accepting the two opposing sides and unifying. We are not denying one side to merge into the other. And it's just, I feel we need to find that within ourselves. And I know that it's something that I have been practicing a lot. And when I said my channel has changed and the way that energy has flowed through me has changed, that comes with that polarity as well. Because for me, the way that I've framed it is I've been using my God mind and my goddess heart. Right? I have that polarity of like really deep-rooted emotional, like alchemizing, and this very logical perspective jumping back and saying, well, what's the bigger picture? What's the contracts we've signed here? The only reason why I feel so grounded and balanced is because I'm allowing both. I've lived all in emotion. I've lived all in my goddess heart and let myself feel everything and ruminate on it and find the why and blah, blah, blah. And that doesn't feel, I'm not getting anywhere. I'm stuck in the emotion. I've also been so detached from my emotion that I try to find the logical answer, but then I'm not processing trauma because I'm not processing emotion. It's about having the balance of both. And I feel like a goddamn fucking superhuman rocking this energy right now. And I feel like at the beginning of this season, I manifested everything I ever wanted. And I felt so powerful and beautiful. And I was like, I can fucking do anything. And as life does, they're like, if you want to upgrade even more, we got to drop you down a peg to like assess what's right behind the curtain. And I just really picture it like someone doing a sweep kick and taking out the bottom peg and making me drop down. And those things that I manifest, some of them were taken away from me. And at first I was like, oh my God, like what did I do to deserve this? I thought that I was manifesting everything I wanted and this is what I was asking for. But what that did was it gave me perspective. It took what I asked for away and said, now that it's gone, do you still really want it? Right? That polarity. You had it all, and now you don't. And it's that expansiveness that allows me to go, well, actually, hold on. Maybe I didn't really want it exactly the way it was manifested. And I would have never thought that way because I was in it. So this is where the God mind comes in. I'm able to step back and go, well, everything is always working out best case scenario for me. If I am living authentically to myself, if I am resonating with my like frequency out into the world, my resonant frequency, then it's going to happen best case scenario, even if it feels like fucking shit.
Yes.
So that's the perspective of the God mind is, okay, if I know it's going to work out best case scenario, then what is the scenario? What is the actual reality? Okay, this got taken away because maybe this wasn't meant for me. Or maybe it's saving me because it is meant for me, but just in this time, there's going to be a really big unpleasant thing happening that you don't want to be a part of. But of course I'm human and I'm experiencing this. So this is where the goddess heart comes in. The energy from the cosmos, the energy from trauma activating my nervous system, the situations happening around me or collectively. I start to feel the emotion. And when I happen simultaneously, the unity of my God mind and my goddess heart, I step back. I go, ooh, my body is feeling this way. Because this is happening, send it straight to your heart. Send it straight to your sacral heart, your goddess heart. Let it alchemize and turn while we use our God brain and go, well, why is this for my best case scenario? Why is this for best timeline? And I'm able to not resist the activation of my nervous system, fully lean into it for all of 5-10 minutes, and then be able to back up and go, well, now what's my next step? What's the next step that's in this God plan? And those are the things that have to be in my body. Everything else, I run through my field. And I let my field tell me what it's alchemizing. Oh, we're alchemizing this poison from somebody around you. Do I need to learn any lessons? No, I'm just trying to clean the field. Okay, great. Do I learn lessons? Great. Use your God mind. So it's allowing those things to exist simultaneously for me, which is why the channel feels different. Another thing that keeps coming to me is like, don't let pain define your personality.
Yeah.
So how do I just let this pain or uncomfortability filter through me, alchemize through my heart with kindness and compassion and go, okay, well, what's next?
Yeah. Because when you do that, that's the energetic imprint people think of you as. And that's not really who you are. It's what you're experiencing or have experienced that you haven't let go of yet. I think one of my biggest triggers in what kind of ignited the idea for this topic was that darkness is used to represent evil and the D, right? The D. Demonic, not,
Not the good D.
Yeah. And I feel this this sense of righteousness and like I need to stick up for the darkness because I think there are many of us, and I've really been feeling into my dark feminine energy because it's a place of creation. It's the void. It's it's actually not evil at all. It is equal parts needed for the light. And I get where people are coming from. And I think it is, important to recognize the difference if you are somewhat new to these spiritual concepts, that darkness and light are a unification representation of the whole. Darkness, when representing evil, means it's a vibration that brings you down and out of yourself and into playing out the agenda of fear, of being able to be controlled. And when you take that back and you take that darkness back, ain't no one fucking with you. When you represent the true innate darkness within you that balances out your light. And that's why the other part of this title, having the capacity to hold the light, you have to know the darkness.
Yes.
The darkness is such a pivotal piece of the puzzle in all of this. So I just felt very compelled to stick up for the darkness a little bit, especially as we're, in the Northern Hemisphere about to be entering into very dark months. And there's a lot of opportunity to work with the darkness and to be the light.
Yes. And really, I've been thinking about the darkness coming too, like physically, like with the time change and the seasons. And a lot of people around me are like, no, oh my God, it's getting dark so early. It's getting so cold. And I'm like, yes. Like, I'm really embracing the darkness this round because, like, it allows you to get deeper and deeper into the void. And the void is where the spark of creation happens, right? We couldn't have the spark unless it was in darkness. If we were fully in light, we wouldn't see that aha moment come, that birthing of something new. And I'm just really feeling it's so interesting how you're like, I feel like I need to stand up for the darkness, because as soon as you said like demonic, I was like, but isn't that also a blessing? Because no, I'm not saying don't be getting involved in shit that you don't want to be getting involved in, and don't be getting involved with shit that's going to hurt you, which is out there. But it's just like, isn't that also another reason for purging, for getting rid of what no longer serves you? And there's a difference between holding on to what no longer serves you and honoring the dark or honoring the pain. You don't need to hold on to shit that is continuing to perpetuate pain and trauma, but you can honor what it's created within you. Like you said, the capacity to hold light. You said it last episode, I'm in so much pain and I've experienced so much that I can hold space for you, that I can give you love and compassion, that I could have empathy. We would not be able to have empathy and be able to see from someone else's perspective if we weren't at least adjacent to, or near to what they've experienced in the darkness. So it allows for that expansiveness of light. It's these terrible things that make us want to take action and step more into the light. We would be lazy sacks of shit, to be honest, if nothing was putting a fire under our ass to do anything about it. It's so important to honor where you came from, what you've been through, what your ancestors have been through. And a piece of that is honoring the darkness. A piece of that is saying, thank you for walking through the darkness for me to find the light.
Wait, I also have another take on darkness that I think it's important to bring to light. Darkness in its truest, purest form is nothingness. And in the nothingness, you can find the peace. You can return to the state of nothingness after you've experienced that death, rebirth cycle, or you really want to come back home to yourself and recalibrate. That nothingness is the starting point for where that takes place. And it's actually this kind of safe cocoon for you to start to recalibrate.
And I'm so glad you brought up the life, death, rebirth, because this polarity of light and dark is less about this linear experience than it is more cyclical.
Yeah.
And I've been thinking about, and I was listening to this podcast of this woman talking about how she was in warrior mode, right? Let's say you were in your darkness and you were fighting and figuring it out. And then when everything started to come into light, when your blessings and your manifestations started to come, if you're not honoring both, she was stuck in warrior. She was fighting against the blessings. She was fighting against the manifestation she brought or the beauty she created because she was still stuck in that modality. So if you imagine, and I keep thinking about the yin yang symbol. So if you imagine walking through the yin yang symbol in a circle and, you're at the precipice of light, and something sparks in creation, or you get that opportunity to step into something new that you've been trying to manifest. And then there's that moment of darkness, of reflection to go, wow, my God, look at how far I've come. And then you're deep in that light until the light begins to fade as we enter closer to the darkness. And this is where we're in that cycle of needing to take the next step further, or something has brought up a trauma now that, I've deepened and allowed myself to pull back a layer in my relationship. It brought something new up, right? So that shadow comes in and then we get fully in the void. And it's like you need that little spot of white, that spark of creation to go, oh, there's still hope. And then we continue until we're back at the precipice of light. And allowing yourself to move through that is the unification of polarity. Allowing yourself to fully lean into the light as you approach that, fully feel the blessings, and then fully feel the shadow part of you that is trying to be accepted, be loved, be seen. And again, it's that cycle similar to life, death, rebirth, and knowing that it's not a flip of the switch. There is the moment of the void of the in-between. There is the moment of needing to shed the warrior when you're done with the darkness, or to bring back the warrior when you need to fight against change because the shadows come back. Both are so important and need to be honored. Well, I think it's just important to remember to honor both sides of the spectrum and remember that everything is always trying to find balance. So if you feel like you have too much of one, then embody the other side of that. So that way you can create the balance within yourself and within your reality.
Let it be a dance, not a battle. As we're about to start dance.
Tomorrow. Okay.
The sparkle.
I'm like, I think we're done.
We love you. We see you. We are you. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being here. See you next season, baby.